It is June 8, 1998, and you are from the most populous black nation on earth who had just lost her leader. But rather than mourn, you and your fellow citizens would celebrate that he was gone. You see, the last 5 years had been like one under captivity for the people of Nigeria. General Sani Abacha had not only ruled the country with iron hand, he also used his 5 years in office to enrich himself and his close buddies, all while using the military to silence anyone who dared to question him.
It is in the overall national interest that these unpatriotic acts being perpetuated by the leadership of 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 and 𝗪𝗃𝗃𝗃 be dealt with decisively.
The late general, shortly after taking power, had dissolved the Senate and arrested some prominent politicians at the time, charging them with treason. Some who had got wind of what the general was up to fled before he could get to them. They went on self-imposed exile. One of such men who fled the country was Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the question is, why did he run?
I don't want to give any credence to whatever they are saying.
It all started in 1992 when 40-year-old Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided it was time to cut ties with his top executive job at Mobil Oil Nigeria and instead run for public office in the Nigerian Third Republic under a political party headed by this guy, 𝗪𝗪𝗲𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗪. Tinubu had joined forces with political figures like Atiku Abubakar, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and late Nigerian President 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗂𝗪 to win a majority in the 1992 National Assembly election that saw their political party, the Social Democratic Party known as SDP, win a 57% of Senate seats and 53% of House of Representatives seats. Tinubu was among those elected to the Senate. However, that republic was short-lived and Senator Tinubu was booted out of office by General Sani Abacha upon seizing the government. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a self-declared Democrat, would later join a group called the National Democratic Coalition, known as NADECO, which was in opposition to the ruling military government of General Sani Abacha. The June 12, 1993 election that was annulled by Ibrahim Babangida had thrown Nigeria into disarray. People were angry and tired of the military rule, and this fueled the burning desire of this group to keep fighting for Chief MKO Abiola, the supposed winner of the election, to be given back his stolen mandate. Little is known about the contributions of our character in this fight for a return to democracy, but when Tinubu saw that his colleagues in the fight were getting arrested and jailed by the Sani Abacha regime and that his life could be in danger, he fled the country for his own survival. 4 years after his sudden disappearance from the scenes, Tinubu re-emerged from the political wilderness where he had been planning and scheming a comeback. But this was not until the death of the man who was allegedly after his life. With General Sani Abacha out of the way, Tinubu started his journey towards Aso Rock, but his first stop was at the Lagos State Government House. According to Mr. Tinubu, he was urged to return to Nigeria after the death of Abacha and to participate in the 1999 general election. He claimed people in the streets of Lagos wanted him to be their governor, so he obliged them.
Are you serious?
One thing Tinubu failed to mention though was that there were some in the same Lagos that would rather have no governor than let one with so much to hide rule over them. It was September 20th, 1999, and Tinubu had only assumed office as governor of Lagos State a few months prior when two human rights activists in Nigeria began preparation for what would be a historic clash on the streets of Lagos. The fight though was not for the rights of one of the many Nigerian citizens getting trampled somewhere. Chief 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗪, Chief 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗪, can we cut this out? Okay, I'm going to be calling him Chief Ghani from here onward.
Continue.
Chief Ghani had threatened to sue the executive governor of Lagos State, Mr. Tinubu, over perjury. The recently elected governor was alleged to have lied on his election form, thereby misleading the people of Lagos to vote him into office as their governor. The human rights activist Chief Ghani, who by the way is late now, had given Tinubu and his camp 7 days to defend himself of the charges. But no response was given to his threat, at least until this 20th day of September 1999, when the most unlikely happened. This battle started when an Abuja-based newspaper raised allegations of forgery of certificates against Tinubu, alleging that he had not in fact attended the University of Chicago as claimed in his INEC form. There were also disputes about his date of birth. But when the human rights activist Chief Ghani raised these concerns, he was criticized by fellow lawyers. Well, as Chief Ghani was preparing to take Tinubu to court, he learned that his close ally and fellow human rights activist 𝗪𝗵𝗲 Falana had accepted a brief to defend Mr. Tinubu should the matter get to court. This was a major blow to him and the quest to get Tinubu removed from office. In a closed-door meeting with the governor, along with his recently appointed Attorney General Professor Yemi Osinbajo and some other inner caucus, 𝗪𝗵𝗲 Falana had discussed with the group on how to deal with the 𝗪𝗪𝗲 threat, which was real at the time. 𝗪𝗪𝗲 and Falana were heroes of the fight against military rule. They had fought for the return of civilian rule and were jailed together multiple times. But having to go against each other like this was something new. The State Assembly quickly put together a committee to investigate the Tinubu forgery scandal. And in his testimony before the committee, Mr. Tinubu came out clean. In the company of his lawyer 𝗪𝗲𝗲 Falana, Tinubu told the panel that the errors made on his INEC form were in fact genuine, as the forms were allegedly filled by a third party on his behalf. After the panel cleared Tinubu and cautioned him against future reoccurrences of such errors, his lawyer 𝗪𝗲𝗲 Falana said he was happy he didn't abandon a friend in trouble. He also stated how he convinced Tinubu to go to the panel to tell the truth. Falana concluded that the case was in fact closed, but Chief Ghani wouldn't let it go. He insisted on going to trial. In October that same year, Chief Ghani 𝗪𝗪𝗲 filed a case against the sitting governor in a federal high court in Lagos. But he was told that the sitting governor could not be arrested or investigated because he was under immunity. Yeah, the appeal court had said the same thing. And that same judgment was upheld by the Supreme Court in 2002. All without hearing the merits of the case, Tinubu was acquitted on grounds of immunity. June 4th, 2013, 11 years after that ruling by the Supreme Court, a federal high court sitting in Lagos dismissed an application seeking to compel the Inspector General of Police to investigate Tinubu's alleged forgery scandal. This time though, it was no longer immunity protecting the former governor, but some form of legal technicalities meant the case was dead on arrival. In fact, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Alkali Usman, had told a federal high court in Abuja that the presidential candidate of the ruling party, Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had no pending criminal matter with the police. Usman had told the court that Tinubu had no pending petition and was not a suspect to the Nigerian police, hence could not be put on trial. This was in response to a suit filed by a civil rights group seeking to get the court to force the police to investigate Mr. Tinubu's perjury and certificate forgery. The police chief maintained that the police could not prosecute Tinubu without any known offense committed. But this is where it gets interesting. They claim that the petitions they had against Tinubu were based on allegations that the Supreme Court had already dealt with in 2002. But remember that the Supreme Court barely dismissed the case because Tinubu had immunity at the time. Well, no one was going to get Tinubu for this particular case. At least, not yet. However, when going through lots of articles in the research for this story, I came across a stunning story. It is as intriguing as the political career of Mr. Tinubu. In 2006, knowing that his time was up in the governor's mansion, Tinubu wanted to return to Abuja, where he had started his political career. This time though, he wasn't so interested in the senatorial seat anymore. He wanted to be the president. So, using his party, the Action Congress, he managed to convince the then Vice President of Nigeria, 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗪, to run as his presidential candidate, but on the condition that he, Tinubu, be his vice. 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗪 wanted to be president, but he wasn't in the good books of his superior, Obasanjo, who was looking to anoint Umaru Musa Yar'Adua as the candidate for the People's Democratic Party. However, 𝗪𝗪𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗪 reportedly declined and instead chose his own running mate from the southeast region of the country. This didn't stop him from being the flag bearer of Tinubu's party. They lost that election to Obasanjo and the PDP, a result Tinubu was hell-bent on changing in the next poll. When Goodluck Jonathan became president in 2010, following the unfortunate death of President Yar'Adua, Tinubu's plans sort of changed. This was according to a story by Sahara reporters. In this report, the New York-based publication claimed to have come in possession of a charge sheet prepared in 2011 by the then Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke, aimed at charging the former Lagos State Governor and chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with perjury. According to this publication by Sahara reporters, 4 documents were attached to the charges. These include Mr. Tinubu's INEC form, a declaration affidavit also known as INEC form CR001, a letter stating that Tinubu did not attend Chicago State University, which was obtained from FBI agent Jennifer Dent, who was the Federal Bureau of Investigation's assistant legal attaché at the US Consulate in Lagos in 2011. According to Sahara reporters, in a response to the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Farida Waziri, through Bala Sanga, a principal staff at the commission, Ms. Dent affirmed that the FBI's check with the Chicago State University in the United States showed that, contrary to his claims, Mr. Tinubu was never enrolled as a student or graduated as one. The charges also claim that Mr. Tinubu did not attend Government College in Ibadan between 1965 and 1968, but lied about that as well. Now, this is where this story gets super interesting. According to this report by Sahara reporters, the charges were prepared before the 2011 election, but somehow were never filed. According to them, Mr. Tinubu decided to play ball in cutting some sort of deal with President Jonathan to work against his own party, the Action Congress of Nigeria, in the presidential election. So that somehow got the charges dropped. Now, I don't know how true these allegations are, but you can check out the full story and read through these charges yourself. I found that particular story very interesting because not only did it indict Mr. Tinubu, but it also claimed that the former president resorted to blackmail to get a political opponent off his back in an election year. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, well played if it did happen. Goodluck would go on to have his way as he was later elected that year as president, winning a highly contested election against his major rival Muhammadu Buhari. The election was marred with many reports of violence. If that report by Sahara reporters was true, it appeared Tinubu somehow managed to get Jonathan off his back in 2013 when he orchestrated the merger of major opposition parties to form the All Progressive Congress APC that would later bring in the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, who later won in 2015 against same Jonathan. Interestingly though, Tinubu did not put himself up as the candidate for APC in 2015, opting instead to run as vice president to Muhammadu Buhari, who later turned him down as he was not comfortable with a Muslim ticket. Remember this scenario played out in 2007 again? You see, I've been wondering a lot about why Tinubu has always been looking for someone to help take him to 𝗪𝗺 and not going all out for himself. You know, not being the leading person on the ticket. Remember in 2007, he wanted 𝗪𝗪 to run under his party, but wanted to be 𝗪𝗪's vice. For that to happen, it didn't work out that time. Then he tried same trick with Buhari and he was turned down yet again. But why was he looking for someone to help him up there? Is there a story there or just coincidence? I don't know yet. I guess maybe I'll ask him one day. It's now 2022, just a couple of days to the 2023 general election that will see the ruling party field Mr. Tinubu, and we have yet another court case challenging his candidacy. This time, a constitutional lawyer, Mr. Mike 𝗪𝗃𝗧𝘂𝗧𝗂𝗪, has entered a direct criminal complaint against him before an Abuja Chief Magistrate Court. This lawyer alleged that the APC presidential flag bearer engaged in age falsification and certificate forgery. He told the court that he possesses evidence that revealed that Tinubu lied on oath in an affidavit he swore to and attached in support of the form he submitted to the Nigerian electoral body INEC on June 17, 2022. The lawyer further alleged that Tinubu presented a forged Chicago State University certificate to INEC with intent that it may be acted upon as genuine, thereby committing the offense of forgery. In a lengthy article on his blog, investigative journalist David Hundeyin revealed the processes taken to obtain those documents he published for everyone to have a look at. According to the documents, one Bola Tinubu did in fact attend Chicago State University, but the certificate given to that particular Tinubu differs considerably from the one presented by the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress. Most shocking of all was the revelation that in support of Tinubu's undergraduate admission application form submitted to Chicago State University in 1977 was a transcript from Southwest College Chicago bearing the name Tinubu Bola A, which belonged to a female student. So this begs the question, do we have two Bola Ahmed Tinubu? If yes, which one is contesting for the election to the highest office of Nigeria? Thanks for watching this video. This is still a developing story, and I'd really like to know how this ends at the end of the day. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I roll out new videos like this one. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.